started counting birds. And I record them in a journal. Just observing. Just observations. If I see one bird, I write down what kind of bird it is with a tally next to it, and I just observe. And I look with my binoculars at the birds. I don't try to write anything profound. I just observe and record. And it's been kind of therapeutic for me. To not have the pressure to write anything profound. So I count the birds. Some birds I see around my house are house finches, which are little finches with a splash of red feathers. Brown-headed nuthatch, which is cute. Carolina chickadees, which are very, very similar to the black-capped chickadee, but we're in Carolina. Northern cardinals, northern mockingbirds. I see the occasional downy woodpecker and the female downy woodpecker, which has no red in her plumage. So you've got to tell by the black mask she wears and the pattern of the back and tail feathers. There's an extinct woodpecker called the ivory-billed woodpecker. Sad to know that thing's gone. It was last photographed in the 30s in Louisiana. What else do I see? Quite a lot of... Oh, yellow-rumped warbler. That one's pretty common. Starlings, European starlings. Those are common. The occasion, well, when you see them in pretty big groups, but cedar waxwings, which are really beautiful birds. I love cedar waxwings. I saw an enormous pileated woodpecker one day. Those are huge. They're of the size of bird that when you see them, you're a little bit put off by them, kind of like big American crows or blackbirds or vultures. They're big birds. They look a little mangy. I have read some books since we last met together. I've started some books and not finished, but some of the highlight books that I've read since we were last together. 2 by Daphne du Maurier, who wrote Rebecca, which you might be familiar with. It's a classic novel written in the 30s. But what I read Rebecca years ago. What I received for Christmas was this copy of the book The Parasites by Daphne du Maurier. And this was really wonderful. I really enjoyed this. I'll definitely read it again. Daphne du Maurier, her prose is so wonderful to read. I just really enjoy reading her prose and her character development. This was a lovely read. And then that prompted me to pick up Hungry Hill by Daphne du Maurier, which also was very, very good. This spans 4 or 5 generations of the same family of these copper miners in like Cornwall or Ireland, the UK somewhere. And so good. So good. Definitely worth reading. Definitely worth owning. Another really wonderful book, Tarjei Vesaas, The Birds. This will change you. This is a book that is written with such empathy and translated with such empathy. The main character's a mentally challenged character, and the way Tarjei Vesaas writes his thoughts and his dialogue, I've never read anything like this book, and it is one of my favorite books now. So I read that. I started The Living Reed by Pearl S. Buck, whom I'm a big fan of. She wrote The Good Earth and won the Pulitzer for that. I read Imperial Woman. She's a wonderful writer. This is about Korea. I didn't finish it. I started Look Homeward Angel by Thomas Wolfe, a North Carolina native, who was discovered by Maxwell Perkins, the great Scribner and Sons editor that discovered and edited for Hemingway, edited Marjorie Kinnan Rawlings, one of my favorites, wrote The Yearling, won the Pulitzer for The Yearling. Who else did he discover? Maxwell Perkins. Well, he discovered Thomas Wolfe and others. Well, I discovered Maxwell Perkins through some letters of correspondence that he had with Marjorie Kinnan Rawlings, and reading his letters was so evocative that I decided to pursue some of his other authors like Thomas Wolfe, whom I've been meaning to get around to, but I didn't finish Look Homeward Angel, though it was an instant success when it was published, I think also in the 30s. But I didn't finish that. I started some Hemingway and didn't finish. That's where I've been with books. I read and I keep reading if I'm drawn in. Right now I'm reading Travels with Charlie by my mentor John Steinbeck. This is a wonderful book. It's not fiction, it's just him traveling around America in a camper and with his dog Charlie, and it is wonderful. That's where I've been. That's what I've been reading. I don't have much else to say. Apart from books, I've been drinking Earl Grey tea. What I do is I boil water, and then when it reaches boiling, I pour it over the tea bag in the cup, and I set a 2-minute timer, and then after 2 minutes, I remove the tea bag. I don't squeeze it at the explicit request of the tea manufacturer. I set it aside and add about 9 drops of monk fruit drops, and stir it with the wooden chopstick. Toss the chopstick into the sink from across the kitchen, and now I have a wonderful cup of Earl Grey tea. The band Bright Eyes is releasing companion EPs for each of their previously recorded albums with new recordings of curated list of songs from each LP. That's exciting because I'm a big Bright Eyes fan. I am with my wife watching Kim's Convenience again for the second time. Well worth it. On Netflix. Very funny. Looking forward to spring. Winter is depressing me. So, go read some Daphne du Maurier. She's wonderful. If you've never read anything by her, most people start with Rebecca. I can't argue against that. Rebecca is esteemed with good reason, but read it before you watch the movie or any of the movies. But I highly recommend The Parasites and highly recommend Hungry Hill and highly recommend The Birds by Vesaas. And that is what I have for you today.